Hello students, welcome back. Today we are going to discuss some other concepts in molecular biology. Today's concept is structure of DNA or a structure of deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is the hereditary material as it contains genetic information. So here you will get one question, that is why DNA is considered as hereditary material? Because it contains genetic information. That's why DNA is considered as hereditary material. Now, DNA is the most important constituent of chromosome. So it is a most important part in the chromosome. DNA is a macromolecule. Macro means large, is a large molecule composed of long polymer of deoxyribonucleotides joined by the phosphodiester linkages or bonds. So deoxyribonucleotides. Yesterday we are discussed that nucleotide structure. The nucleotide is formed by the sugar molecule, nitrogen base and phosphate group together form as the nucleotide. So the two nucleotides are joined by the phosphodiester linkages and it form as a long chain that we will call as the polymer. Nucleotide polymer. Polymer means more number of nucleotides joined by phosphodiester linkages and form as a macromolecule. Now, each deoxyribonucleotide contains each deoxyribonucleotide. Here deoxyribo is the sugar molecule and nucleotide. So contains a phosphate group and the 5 carbon sugar that is called deoxyribo. This two indicates that the second carbon do not having oxygen atom. So 2-deoxyribose is the 5 carbon sugar present in deoxyribonucleotide and nitrogen base. So each deoxyribonucleotide contains phosphate group, sugar molecule. That sugar molecule is called deoxyribose and a nitrogen base. So that nitrogen base may be adenine or may be guanine or may be cytosine or may be thiamine. Any one of that nitrogen base is present in a nucleotide. A pair of nucleotide is known as a base pair. So a pair of nucleotides is known as base pair. It is the one mark question. What is a base pair? A pair of nucleotides is known as a base pair. The number of nucleotides determine the length of the DNA. So the DNA length is depending on the number of nucleotides. If number of nucleotides are more, the length of DNA is more. Let's see the number of nucleotides in some common organisms. So here it is mentioned organism and number of nucleotides or maybe base pairs present in that particular organism. So now first organism 5174 bacteriophage. 5174 bacteriophage. It consists total 5386 nucleotides in its DNA. So here already we know that what is a bacteriophage. So here the bacteriophage is nothing but virus which infects the bacteria. Infects bacteria. is called bacteriophage. So that bacteriophage name is alpha into, it is not a X, alpha into 174. So alpha 174 bacteriophage, it consists 5386 nucleotides in its DNA. And another organism, bacteriophage lambda, it is the name of that lambda, it consists 48,000 48,502 base pairs. One base pair consists two nucleotides. One base pair consists, base pairing is occurred between two nucleotides. So 48,502 base pairs are present in that bacteria. Escherichia coli, it is a bacteria. So it consists 4.6 into 10 to the power of 6 base pairs in a cell. All these three are unicellular organisms. Now, haploid content of DNA in a human cell, not entire human. Haploid content of DNA in a human cell consists 3.3 into 10 to the power of 9 base pairs in a cell. Similarly, the diploid content of DNA is 6.6 into 10 to the power of 9 base pairs in a single cell of human. So now based on all this, suppose we given the previous slide, we are given that the number of nucleotides in DNA determines the length of DNA. So now when compared to this, the diploid human cell consists more length. DNA is more length when compared to the 5174 bacteriophage. Smallest DNA we can find in this 5174 bacteriophage, and longest DNA, it is present in diploid content of DNA in a human cell. So it is the longest. So this length is determined based on that nucleotide number or maybe base pair number decides the length of a DNA. Discovery of nucleic acid. In 1869, Johann Friedrich Micher, the scientist, generally we will use to call Micher, isolated an acidic substance from pus cells obtained from bandages used for dressing the wounds. So he collected the pus cells from that bandages used for dressing the wounds, and he isolated an acidic substance. This acidic substance was obtained when pus cells were treated with a proteolytic enzyme called pepsin. So when that acidic substance is obtained, this acidic substance is obtained when these pus cells are treated with this enzyme, proteolytic, that means the protein breaking enzymes. The enzymes which break the proteins or digest the proteins are called as proteolytic enzyme. That is, pepsin is a proteolytic enzyme. When he treated that pus cells with this pepsin, then he obtained that acidic substance. He named this acidic substance as a nuclein. Nuclein. Why he named it as a nuclein? As it was specifically associated with the cell nucleus. It is associated with cell nucleus present in the nucleus. That's why he named it as a nuclein. He found that nuclein contained large amount of nitrogen and phosphorus. Not only called nuclein, he also found that nuclein consists large amount of nitrogen as well as phosphorus. discovery of DNA structure. In 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick, based on the X-ray diffraction data, proposed double helix model of the DNA structure or model for the structure of DNA. X-ray diffraction data produced by M. Wilkins and R. Franklin. Based on this data, X-ray diffraction data, based on that, Watson and Crick proposed the double helix model for the structure of DNA. So now, what is that X-ray diffraction means? A primary use of this technique is the identification and characterization of compounds based on their diffraction pattern. Diffraction means bending. So based on that bending pattern, they characterize or identify the compounds. So based on that X-ray diffraction data, the data is produced given by M. Wilkinson and or Franklin. These two scientists, they produce that X-ray diffraction data. Based on that X-ray diffraction data, James Watson and Francis Crick proposed double helix model for the structure of DNA. It is a worldwide accepted model for the structure of DNA. Let's study the Watson and Crick model of DNA or double helix structure of DNA. So once recollect from the previous video, we are discussed that nucleotide. So nucleotide is equal to sugar molecule plus nitrogen base plus phosphate group. This we studied. So nucleotide is formed by the union of these three, joining of these three substances: sugar molecule, nitrogen base, and phosphate. Here nitrogen base may be adenine or maybe guanine or maybe cytosine or maybe thymine. So here these two, adenine and guanine, we will call as the purines. Cytosine and thymine we will call as the pyrimidines or pyrimidines. So we are studied this one. Now these nucleotides are joined through the phosphodiester bond. So now here it is a diagram of nucleotide, polynucleotide chain, polynucleotide chain. So here we are given total four number of nucleotides we are consider. Suppose this is 1, 2, 3 and 4 nucleotides are given here. So now in these nucleotides, if you are observed that a phosphate group, if you are consider this polynucleotide chain is all 5 to 3 direction. That means this chain one end ends with the fifth carbon. This fifth carbon ends with this phosphate group. So this we will call as the fifth end, and another end of the chain ends with. So here nitrogen base always bonds on first carbon, second, third, fourth, and here it is fifth carbon. So now one end of the chain ends at third carbon, and this carbon consists hydroxyl group. So that's why this end is called as the third end. So a polynucleotide chain consists fifth end on one phosphate in phos that end consists phosphate group, and another end is called third end. It consists hydroxyl group on third carbon. So just now we discussed about a polynucleotide chain. So the polynucleotide chain present in 5 to 3 direction, that is fifth end to third end. Fifth carbon, that means fifth end ends with phosphate group, and third end ends with the hydroxyl group. Now let's see that the structure of DNA. So DNA molecule consists of two polynucleotide chains. So previously we discussed one polynucleotide chain, but DNA consists two polynucleotide chains. These chains, these two polynucleotide chains form a double helix like a spiral staircase steps. We can see some buildings are having that iron steps in a spirally arranged. So spiral arrangement, suppose you may saw that some buildings, it is one large pole will be present, surround it the steps are present like this. So now similarly these two strands are arranged spirally like this, like a staircase, a spiral staircase. So now the two chains are anti-parallel. Anti-parallel. Just now we said the polynucleotide chain is present on 5 to 3 direction. It is normal. 5 to 3. Now we are saying that it is anti-parallel. That is against, parallelly present but against to each other. That means one is present 5 to 3 and another will be present that is 3 to 5. Anti-parallel. One is present in this direction and another will be present in this direction. Now the two chains are coiled in right-handed fashion and is known as BDNA. This BDNA structure is proposed by Watson and Crick. So the two chains are coiled right-handed fashion. The sugar molecule phosphate units form a backbone and nitrogenous bases form the center. They are present at the center. Both the strands are joined together by weak hydrogen bonds present between the nitrogen bases of the two strands. So let's see this explanation diagrammatic representation. See now, already we said that DNA is made up of two polynucleotide chain. This is one chain and it is another chain, two polynucleotide chain. Once see that first polynucleotide chain ends with 5 and one end having 3. Exactly to this first polynucleotide chain, it is present opposite. So this end is 3 and this end is 5. So that's why we will call it as these two polynucleotide chains are arranged anti-parallel. Anti-parallel. or opposite, parallelly arranged in opposite direction. Now, again, what they said, a sugar molecule, phosphate as well as sugar molecule form as a backbone of this double helix structure. And nitrogen bases A, T, C, G, C. So all these adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. That is the for one polynucleotide. And the opposite thymine, adenine, cytosine, and guanine. These are all nitrogen bases of this nucleotide chain. So all these nitrogen bases present towards the center. So nitrogen base, it is present towards the center. Towards center. So backbone is sugar molecule and phosphate group. Phosphate group is the backbone and nitrogen bases are present towards the center. Now, these two polynucleotide chains are joined together by a hydrogen bonds. That hydrogen bonds are formed between, observed clearly, the hydrogen bonds formed between the nitrogen bases. Is it clear? The hydrogen bonds formed between the nitrogen bases of the polynucleotide chains. Remember it. So, in a double helical structure, two polynucleotide chains are joined together by hydrogen bonds. These hydrogen bonds are formed between the nitrogen hydrogen bonds formed between nitrogen bases. So that nitrogen bases are clearly shown here. So once if you count the number of bonds here, two hydrogen bonds present between adenine and thymine and three hydrogen bonds formed between guanine and cytosine. Okay, so please remember that. Once briefly I am giving explanation again. The DNA is made up of two polynucleotide chains. So this is one and it is two polynucleotide chains. These two polynucleotide chains arrange anti-parallel or arranged parallelly in opposite directions. So one strand if it is present 5 to 3, another strand it is present 3 to 5. Okay. Now these two strands are joined by hydrogen bonds. These hydrogen bonds formed between the nitrogenous bases of that nucleotides. Now, in a double helical structure, the backbone of nucleotide chain formed by sugar molecule and phosphate group and nitrogen bases are present at the center. Let's see. Pairing between the nitrogenous bases is such that, so now how the nitrogenous base pairing is takes place. We said that the nucleotide change joined by hydrogen bonds between the nitrogen bases. So joined by bond formation between nitrogen bases. So which nitrogen bases are paired? So that is adenine always pairs with thymine. Cytosine always pairs with the guanine. Remember it. A adenine is always bonds with thymine and cytosine is always bonds with guanine. Now There are two hydrogen bonds between adenine and thymine. So the adenine always bonds with the thymine with two hydrogen bonds. And there are three hydrogen bonds between cytosine and guanosine. So cytosine joins with the guanosine by three hydrogen bonds. Such base pairing is called complementary pairing. So thymine is complementary to the adenine. Guanine is complementary to cytosine. In a complementary base pairing, pairing is always between purine and adenine. So it is a complementary pairing. In this, adenine is a purine and thymine is a pyrimidine. So in a complementary base pair, purine purine is always binds with or paired with pyrimidine. Clear? Let's see that representation as for that pairing. So what we said, so already we discussed, it is anti-parallel. So first nucleotide here it is 3 to 5, then opposite direction 5 to second nucleotide it is 5 to 3. First one is 3 to 5. So third end is ends with hydroxyl group, is ends with OH, and fifth one the circle is represent the phosphate group. Here representation circle represent phosphate and this group represent the nitrogen base, and this pentagon it is a sugar molecule, that is deoxyribose. Okay, so now see here it is in this polynucleotide. So it is a nucleotide here box, it is a nucleotide, one nucleotide, and it is a second, third, and four nucleotides. Similarly, in another chain, one, two, three, four nucleotides. So each nucleotides are joined with, so these linkings are called as the phosphodiester linkage. Each two nucleotides joined by phosphodiester linkages present between the nucleotides in a polynucleotide chain. And now two polynucleotide chains are joined by hydrogen bonds. These two chains, polynucleotide chain 1 and 2, joined by hydrogen bonds. These dotted lines are the hydrogen bonds. Now let's always, just now we discussed that in a pairing, adenine is always pairs with the thymine. With how many hydrogen bonds? Two hydrogen bonds. One, two. Two hydrogen bonds. And similarly, cytosine is always pairs with guanine with three hydrogen bonds. The double helix takes a complete turn after complete turn after 3.4 nanometers. So for every 3.4 nanometer distance, it will take one complete turn. So that 3.4 nanometer also represent with 34 angstrom units, or 3.4 into 10 to the power of 9 meters. So 10 to the power of 9 meters minus 9 meters is equal to 10 to the power of minus 9 meters is equal to 1 nanometer. So that's why 3.4 nanometers is equal to 3.4 into 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. That is one complete turn after. So there are several turns. So every turn is appears after 3.4 nanometers. And There are 10 base pairs in a complete turn. In every complete turn, there are 10 base pairs are present. 10 base pairs. That means the turn width, that means the length of the turn is 3.4 nanometers. So in this turn, how many base pairs are there? 10 base pairs. That means the distance between the 10 base pairs is 0.34 nanometers. The distance between base pairs in a particular turn is 0.34 nanometers. So that is the next point. The distance between base pairs is 3.4 angstrom units, or maybe 0.34 nanometers, or 0.34 into 10 to the power of 9 meters, minus 9 meters. The width of DNA molecule is 2 nanometers, or 2 into 10 to the power of minus 9 meters, or 20 angstrom units. The nucleotides in a helix are joined by phosphodiester bonds. Nucleotides in a helix joined by phosphodiester bonds. Nucleotide chains joined in a double helical structure is by hydrogen bonds. Chains are joined by two chains held in their position or joined by phosphodiester bonds. Sorry, two chains are joined by hydrogen bonds. That bonds formed between the nitrogen bases. But here the point is the nucleotides are joined by phosphodiester bonds. Nucleotide chains joined by hydrogen bonds in a double helical structure of DNA. So let's see that representation what we studied in previous slide. So one complete turn from here to here. This is one complete turn. After every 3.4 34 angstrom units, or maybe 3.4 nanometers. For every 3.4 nanometer, it will take one complete turn. In that complete turn, it is a one base pair. Like that, total 10 base pairs are present in this complete turn. In 3.4 nanometer turn, total 10 base pairs are present. So now the distance between that base pair, so see here, the distance between these two base pairs is 3.4 angstrom units, or maybe 0.34 nanometers. And this width of this diameter, the two strands width is 20 angstroms unit, or maybe 2 nanometer, or 2 into 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. Here also 0.34 into 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. Okay. So now here in this colored portion, base pair, yellow portion it is adenine, green portion it is thymine, and here it is orange, it is guanine, and red it is cytosine. So now here this base pair represent this one label, this base pair. This base pair represents GC, green, thymine and adenine. Similarly, green, thymine, adenine A, and here it is guanine and cytosine, and here it is guanine, cytosine, thymine, adenine, and it is cytosine and guanine, and here it is guanine and cytosine. So like that, in a complete turn, we are saying that one complete turn from here to here, it is one complete turn. from here. So it is 2, 6 plus here it is complete turn. It will get total 10 base pairs present in that. So the base pair, it is in a base pair, the nitrogen base of one nucleotide A is always bound with another nitrogen base of another nucleotide of the another chain with the two hydrogen bonds. If it is guanine, it joins with the cytosine through three hydrogen bonds. So now here this adenine belongs to the chain 2 and this thymine belongs to the chain 1, nucleotide chain 1, and similarly it is belongs to 2 and it belongs to nucleotide chain 1. So the two nucleotide chains joined by hydrogen bonds and nucleotides. This is a nitrogen basis we are mentioned. So here pentose sugar and it ends with the phosphate group. This is adenine. So this adenine molecule, this nucleotide joins with the another nucleotide through phosphate bonds, phosphodiester bonds. So please be careful. The structure of DNA is a very important essay, 5 marks essay question. The next concept, molar ratio of nitrogenous bases in DNA, molar ratio or Chargaff rule. Erwin Chargaff studied DNA composition from many organisms. He made the following observations that are referred to as Chargaff rules. So he made the following observations. He made some observations. That observations are referred as Chargaff rules. So that observations as follows. 1. Proportion of bases varied in DNA of different types of organisms. Proportion of bases. Here bases are nothing but nitrogen bases proportion. It is different in different types of organisms. And second observation, the concentration of adenine, the concentration of adenine was equal to the thymine concentration and guanine concentration was equal to cytosine concentration. So in a DNA, the adenine concentration or amount of adenine is always equal to the amount of thymine and amount of cytosine guanine is equal to the cytosine. Suppose cytosine is 10 are present, guanine also 10 is present, and thymine 10 is present, adenine is also 10 is present. Suppose the total of 100 if you are consider 100. Suppose cytosine consists 10, that is equal to guanine is also 10. That means 10, 10, 20. That means 100 minus 20. Then you will get 80. So this 80 equal to this concentration. A and T equal to 80. So that means equal to 80 means T is 40 and A is 40. Equal proportion. No? Adenine is equal to thymine. So both together 80. That means each one having 40, 40. Now, this indicates that the total of purines was equal to the total amount of pyramids. So here purines are A and G, 40 plus 10, 50. Pyrimidines are T and C, thymine and cytosine, 40 plus 10, 50. So at the end, purine number, amount of purine is equal to the amount of pyrimidines. So that means A plus G, both are purines, equal to the C plus T. Be careful. This point is very, very important in the objective concepts. Based on this, you will get some problems. Third observation, sugar deoxyribose and phosphate occur in equimolar proportions. They are present in equimolar proportions. Fourth observation, the ratio of A plus T, that means adenine and thymine, and guanine and cytosine, is constant for a species. If you consider a species, for example, Homo sapiens, in that all Homo sapiens species, the ratio of that adenine thymine and guanine and cytosine ratio is constant in all the species in that particular DNA. Therefore, base ratio has been used to identify the DNA from a particular source. So, base, base ratio, by using this ratio, we can identify the DNA of a particular species. For example, the base ratio adenine thymine and guanine cytosine ratio is 1.52 in human. It is constant in all human beings. Similarly, the base ratio adenine thymine and guanine and cytosine ratio is 0.93 in Escherichia coli bacteria. That means in this species it is constant. The base ratio is constant of a particular species. So different species having different base ratio, but the base ratio is constant in all the species. In suppose Homo sapiens, in all human beings, the base ratio of DNA is same. And similarly, if you consider the monkeys are belongs to another species. So in all the monkeys, the base ratio is constant. So depending on that base ratio, we can identify the DNA of a particular species. So let's see based on this Chagoff rule. So now here we are all very well known that it is just a representation. The circular is a phosphate, pentagon is a sugar molecule, and this square box, it is a base, nitrogen base. So now here third end phosphate is present in fifth end, and third end it is consists hydroxyl group. So now when you see the two this is the entire DNA arrangement. It is a DNA. It consists two nucleotides, one nucleotide chains, 1 and 2 polynucleotide chain, and this polynucleotide chain, one end here, this end it is 5, and this end actually here it is no, here it is 3 end, and similarly this ends, that means it is a phosphate of the another molecule, but here it is the 3OH, and here it is phosphate is present here, fifth end. So now one is present 5 to 3 direction, one it is present in this direction, and another one is present its opposite direction. Now what we are saying that the base pair, that is adenine, is always pairs with thymine, there is no change, and similarly cytosine is always pairs with guanine. So adenine pairs with thymine with 2 hydrogen bonds, cytosine pair with guanine with 3 hydrogen bonds. So as per Chagoff rule, adenine, the amount of adenine is equal to amount of thymine, and vice versa. Cytosine equal to guanosine. Now, another thing is that the amount of purines at the end, finally, purines purines is equal to the pyrimidines. So that purines are A plus G. That is adenine, guanine or the purines are equal to the cytosine and thymine. So, but at the end, when A is equal to T or C is equal to G, but finally, when the purines and pyrimidines are equal, it never exceeds. Suppose, to conclude that, suppose A is 12, adenines are present. What we are saying, A is equal to T. That means A is 12. It is always equal to T. That means T is T also 12. So A plus T is equal to how much? 24. Correct. Now, if you are consider that in a polynucleotide chain, there is a 100 nitrogen bases are present. 100 nitrogen bases are present. So in that 124, 24 are the A and T. 24 are the A and T. So that means 100 minus 24. It become how much? 76. It is it is G plus C. That means G and C equal to 76. What we are saying here, it is C is equal to G or G is equal to C. That means suppose if you say that G guanine is 10, C is also 10. But what we are saying here, G and C is equal to 76. That means we need to distribute this number equally to the both. That means by 2. Then you will get how much? 38. So guanosine is 38, cytosine is 38, 76 and adenine 12 and thymine is 12. That is the proportion present in. That proportion is finally equal to purines as well as. So based on Chargaff rule, let's find a few problems, solutions for few problems. So first question is, if the total amount of adenine and thymine, adenine and thymine in a double stranded DNA is 45%. The amount of guanine in this DNA will be how much? So, solution. What is given here? The total amount of adenine and thymine in a double stranded DNA is 45%. So now A plus T, that means adenine is always bonds with T, plus guanine bonds with C, clear, is equal to 100%. In this 100%, A plus T, adenine and thymine, it is given 45 plus G plus C is equal to 100. Now G plus C is equal to 100 minus 45. So then it becomes G plus C is equal to how much? 50 So already we discussed A is equal to T, clear, and guanine is always equal to cytosine. That means here 55 we need to distribute equally to the guanine and cytosine. So then 55 divided by 2, that is equal to 27.5%. So what they are asking, guanine. Guanine is 27.5% and cytosine is 27.5%. So then guanine is equal to 55 55. Actually, as per our calculation, it becomes minus C, but we need to equally distribute it. So by 55 by 2, then you will get G is 27.5 and C is equal to 27.5%. So now guanine is 27. Now, as per Chargaff rule, purines A plus G is equal to C plus T. So here A plus T is 45. No? A plus T, that means adenine thymine is given by 45, both together. A is equal to T, that means 45 divided by 2. That means how much? 22.5. So A is 22.5 plus G is 27.5 is equal to cytosine 27.5 plus thymine 22.5. So total it become 50 is equal to 50. Purines equal to pyrimidines. Try to practice the second question by your own. So the question is, in a bacteria, the amount of adenine was found to be 18%, suggested the cytosine base composition. So adenine found to be 18%. Adenine is 18%. Then find the cytosine base composition. Very simple. Adenine is 18%. Already we know A is equal to T. Adenine is 18, then T is equal to 18%. So A plus T is equal to 36%. Both together 36%. So 100 minus 36 it become. So 100 minus 36 it is equal to 64. So sorry 64 not 2 64. So G is equal to C. That means this 64 we need to distribute equally by 2. That means 32 32. So cytosine percentage is 32%. C is 32%. So C plus T, that means 32 plus 18, 50%. G plus A, G is 32, A is 18, then 50%. Purines is equal to pyrimidines. Purines 50%, pyrimidine 50%. So C is 32, G also 32, A is 18, T is 18, A is 18. So it is easy once if you understand the concept properly. Different types of DNA on the basis of number of base pairs. On the basis of number of base pairs and right or left handedness of helix, the DNA are of different types. Remember that on the basis of base pairs, number of base pairs and arrangement of that helix, either right handed side or left handed side, based on that the DNA is of different types. So various forms of DNA it is given in a tabular form. So with some characteristic considered. So there are different forms: aDNA, bDNA, cDNA, ddNA, zDNA. Already we said that it is based on the number of base pairs per turn, as well as right hand or maybe left hand sided orientation, coiling. Based on that, we are classify these different forms of DNA. Let's see. So first consider the base pairing, number of base pairs. A DNA consists 11 base pairs in one complete turn, and B DNA it consists 10 base pairs in a complete turn, and C DNA consists 9 and of base pairs in a complete turn, and D DNA consists 8 base pairs in a complete turn, and Z DNA consists 12 base pairs in a complete turn. Now, direction of coiling, either right hand or maybe left hand. Among these 5 types, except Z, remaining all are coiled right-handed side. Only Z DNA it is coiled left-handed side. Now, sugar and phosphate backbone, how it is arranged in a smooth and straight line in the all four, first four, A, B, C, D, DNA. The sugar and phosphate backbone is smooth, whereas in Z DNA it is a zigzag. So that Z indicates the zigzag. Now, axial rise, that means 2.56 angstrom units in aDNA, and bDNA 3.37 angstrom units, cDNA 3.32 angstrom units, and ddNA 3.03 angstrom units, and zDNA 3.8 angstrom units. Length of one pitch, that means one complete turn length, that is 28.16 angstrom units, or 34 angstrom units, length of a complete one turn. And in cDNA 31 angstrom units, in ddNA it is 24.24 angstrom units, and in ddNA 45.6 angstrom units. One see that based on this turn, one complete turn, zDNA having 12 base pairs, that's why its length, the turn length is more because of more base pairs. Base pairs are formed between nucleotide, base pairing. So now here ddNA having 8, that's why when compared to the all, it has a less length of the turn. Now diameter of this two nucleic, that means polynucleotide chain diameter in this double helical structure, that is 23 angstrom units aDNA, and 20 angstrom unit in bDNA, and 19 angstrom units in cDNA, and not yet specified for this ddNA, and 18 angstrom units diameter in zDNA. So in all these forms, we are studying in our syllabus, and most of the research is done on bDNA, and Watson and Crick also proposed the structure of bDNA. That's why whatever we are studied in this chapter, it is based on bDNA. On heating, the two strands of DNA separate from each other, called melting. So on heating, two DNA strands in a double helical structure are separate. They are called as melting. On cooling, they are rehybridized, rejoined, that we will call as the annealing. So joining is annealing, and separation is melting. That is based on that temperature. Heating, melting, cooling, it become annealing, rejoin. So the temperature at which the two strands are separated, the temperature is called as melting temperature, and it is represents with the Tm, which is specific for each sequence. It is specific for each sequence. So note that greater the Tm, that means melting temperature, greater will be the number of cytosine guanosine base pairs, because cytosine guanosine having 3 hydrogen bonds, whereas adenine and thymine having 2 hydrogen bonds. Only 2 hydrogen bonds are present. So breaking these 2 hydrogen bonds required less temperature, whereas breaking of these 3 hydrogen bonds require more temperature. That's why Tm, melting temperature, is more for the this. So based on this melting temperature, we can find the cytosine and guanosine base pairs easily. So cytosine, guanosine base pairs are more. If melting temperature is more for separating the one particular DNA, that indicates that the DNA consists more number of cytosine, guanosine base pairs, because they have 3 hydrogen bonds. It requires, so presence of these two different types of bonding, that means 2 hydrogen bonds between adenine and thymine and 3 hydrogen bonds between cytosine and guanosine, is also important to arrange this nucleotide chains in the diameter of 20 angstrom units. So they are held in their position of the 20 angstrom units in the diameter. They are held due to presence of the variations of this hydrogen bonding between the base pairs. It gives that a structure to the DNA.